Hello there, Northern here. Sorry about the slight delay to the start of it. Phone's brilliant, decides to crash at the last minute and I'm not even ready. Not got myself adjusted yet. Right. Might be short tonight depending on how many people we get on here. This one's just about the police and their previous response to the moped muggings and their current response. Don't get me wrong, it's not a police knocking sort of broadcast. I'm not going to knock the police at all. They do the best they can with the limited resources and limited manpower they've got. So it's nothing to do with that. So I'm not getting involved in bashing the police. It's just a quick chat about how we got here and where we're going from there. First of all, mention that. Not got it set up in time this time, but hopefully for the next one I'll get that set up and then it can be a phone in if anyone's interested and wants to actually phone in and have a chat. If anyone that's on can just give me a little comment to let me know they can hear me, because I've been a bit rushed tonight, the phone crashed at the last minute, so I'd like to know that it's actually the sound's going out. So someone just give me a quick comment just saying yeah, okay, or whatever, something like that, be vastly appreciated, just so that I know I'm not sat here for the next half hour, however long it's going to be, with just my lips flapping about and no sound coming out. So I'll wait for that and assume that we're getting it. Oop. Hopefully the comments will come up. Right, so first off, how did we get here? How did we get to this situation where the moped muggers were just running riot all over the place? Well, many years ago, I used to not be anti-police, but I used to slag them off a hell of a lot. I used to think they were doing a really poor job, not doing it very well, etc, etc, so on and so forth. And then I remembered an old saying, I think my granddad used to say it to me a lot actually, and it was, never judge a man till you've walked a mile in his shoes. So I thought, what the hell, I'll do that. So I joined the special, did 5.5 years as a special constable, and boy was that an eye-opener. I suddenly realised just how hard that job was, and I was just doing it part-time. I mean, for the guys doing it regular all the time, massively hard. Some really good moments, some really bad moments, a lot of slagging off, a lot of abuse, a lot of rules to follow. I mean, Jesus, so many rules to follow, and you're constantly in the public eye and they're constantly judging you and recording you, putting on YouTube, so it's a very difficult job. So that sort of changed my opinion of them. But while I was there, a couple of occasions, because I got the point A to B driving licence there, couldn't chase or anything like that, but I could go point A to B, and a few times we got called up while I was out with a regular for someone on a motorbike. And basically the regular always just used to call up on the radio, we're not allowed to pursue, what do you want me to do, go and wave? Very sarcastically, not happy about it, even way back then. They didn't enjoy the fact they couldn't do anything about it. And so I wondered why this was the case. Snowwolf. Hi, Snowwolf matey, nice to see you there. Just give me a yay or nay, Snowwolf, if you can hear me clear enough. I'm assuming you can, because no one's told me I'm a silent mover. So anyway, perfect. Thank you. Nice one. All the yays are coming in. All the single yays. Right. So yeah, as I was saying, so I wondered why this was the case. Why there was no pursuit allowed, and it was basically for several reasons. It's health and safety, obviously. They didn't want them to get hurt while they were pursuing them, and if they did get hurt, the police officer would be held accountable, because he would have been asked how he risk assessed the situation, whether he thought that putting the bloke's life at risk was worth it considering the crime he'd committed, what he did to mitigate the risks, all this, so on and so forth. In other words, they'd probably get hung out to dry. So they didn't pursue. Now, even way back then, I mean, this is a long time ago, it's probably 10 years ago. It's been a long time since I've not been pursuing, it's not recent. I had the conversation with him. I was saying, but you know, if you pretty much tell a criminal that if you do this, we won't do anything about it. If you tell them you'd rather get away car, we're coming after you, we're going to get you, blah blah blah. But if you're on a motorbike without a helmet, we're not going to chase you. What are they going to do? You know, for all intents and purposes, it's their job, isn't it? The criminal's job is to nick things. It's a pretty scummy job, but it's what they do. So they're going to do whatever they can to do that as well as possible. And if they know they can go on a bike and get away, they're going to do it. And it took them years because the police didn't broadcast the fact they didn't pursue. It wasn't like didn't go around telling people. But obviously, eventually, people know. They're on a motorbike, car pulls out after them and then turns off. People know, they're not stupid. It's like, yep, they're not pursuing us. And so the crime wave started. And as we know, it got massively worse, mainly in London, but it got worse all over the place. And thank God that we've had an inspector, whoever it was that made this decision, who basically had the balls to say, we're not doing that anymore. Now, not only are we pursuing, we're actively knocking them off. And I know people have been saying they shouldn't do it, health and safety and all that. I call bull crap on that. You know, it's like the muggers aren't considering your health and safety when they're throwing acid in your face or holding a machete to your neck. You know, they're not bothered, are they? The police, when they're doing this, they're trying their best not to injure anyone. They're trying to bring it to a halt, and they're using a high-risk manoeuvre, chance of injury, but they are trying their best not to injure anyone. The moped muggers, they're not bothered, are they? They're not doing that. They're not risk assessing when they're going to attack an old lady or rip someone's phone out of the hand. They're not thinking, oh, are we mitigating all the circumstances? Are we going to make sure they're not going to get injured? No, they're not. They're just doing it. They don't give a crap. So from my way of thinking, simple as it may be, the risk to life and limb is less if the police do this than if they don't. Because if they don't, what's going to happen? Well, we know what's going to happen because it's been happening for the last God knows how many years, hasn't it? Basically, what's going to happen is this crime's going to keep going higher, people are going to keep getting attacked more, people are going to get injured more. So we either do this high-risk manoeuvre or we go right back to square one and just sit back and let it all kick off again. You know, so it's a no-brainer, really, as far as I'm concerned. And like I said, I'm really glad they're doing it. It needed doing, and they're doing it. My only concern now is if injuries do mount up, then the snowflakes out there are going to be, oh, you know, they're getting injured. These poor little darlings are getting injured now. We're going to have to stop it and review this. And it's no. That's not it. That's not the case. They're getting injured, then it's a shame. I don't really think that, but I have to say that, obviously. I mean, if they get injured, I don't give a crap. If you're a criminal going, you know, committing a crime, then you've chose that life, and whatever happens, happens. You know, live by the sword, die by the sword. But you know, if they do get injured, that's a shame. It happens. You know, that's the way it is. Rather them than some innocent person. Because the other thing people don't take into account is, yeah, when they rob someone, they might not be a physical injury. But what about the mental injury, the mental damage they've done? You know, that person's view of the world has changed forever now. They're not going to see the world in the same happy little light. It's changed, at the very least. At the very worst, they might now have mental issues to contend with, depression, etc. So yeah, the fact they might get injured shouldn't really feature, but we do know the snowflakes out there will start using that as an excuse to curb it, pardon the pun, to try and stop it. And I just hope that for once people basically say, no, we're not stopping this, this carries on, it has to carry on. Snow Wolf, hopefully with the new tactics they will start thinking. Yeah, well, they already have. I can't remember the exact statistics, someone on there might remember them, but I think it's been cut by a third so far this year. You know, so I mean, they're not heroes, are they? These moped muggers. Excuse me, I just ate a second ago. Pardon me. Yeah, they're not exactly heroes or brain surgeons. You know, if they were, they'd probably have a better job earning money honestly. So if they think there's a real chance of injury, and if you've seen the videos, they are really going for it. I mean, oh, I watched that video several times. I've done the remix of it. I don't know if anyone's watched it with my little bit of my little dance moves, embarrassing my kids. Bonus. Um, but yeah, I mean they're really going for it. They're not just like little gentle love taps. They're whacking them off those bikes and good on them. So yeah, it's going to have an effect because they're going to be scared to do it. And I've seen, I can't remember, I know Dynamics opened their mouth and let all the crap fall out. But someone else did. They said that all the police are doing is self-publicity. Uh, yeah. Oh, you did. All right. Um, yeah. You can see why my kids are ashamed of me now. Um, yeah. So anyway, she's basically said that what the police are doing, it's all self-publicity. They're not really interested in making a difference. They're just putting this video out there to say to people, look how good we are. And in actual fact, they've only chased, should I say, 1% of the moped criminals. Well, you know, there's not 100, 200, 300 different criminals here. It's just a few of them that are very active. I mean, if you look at the stats, where I think it was one criminal took 63 mobiles in a day. So, you know, if they're chasing 1% of the actual crimes, then what percentage of the criminals is that they're actually chasing? It'll be a lot higher than 1%, I can assure you of that. And once they've taken them out, then the crime, I mean, dropped by a third. The 1% is probably a third of the moped muggers that's been doing it, not far off. So it's not self-publicity. It does make a difference, and it does have an effect. I mean, could they do more? That's the other. I don't know if any of you got any views on what else they could be doing. I mean, they've got the scrambler bikes as well. I don't know if any of you have seen that. There's been a few bombing around Sheffield, which again, quite useful. Because I know when I've gone with my bike a few times, mine's not a scrambler, and I've gone to places where my bike's just not happy going. So I haven't been able to go any further. I mean, Snowwolf, you've seen my bike, you know what it's like. You know that it's not going to be handling rough terrain too well. It's not what it's built for. But with the scramblers, they can now go pretty much wherever the moped thieves can, and better, because the moped muggers tend to be on mopeds, hence the name. Well, they're not mopeds, they're scooters. Mopeds technically are 50cc, and they're not on 50cc, they're on 125s. But yeah, yep, yeah, exactly. So yeah, they can go all over the place with the scooters, but the bikes on the scramblers can go there, and they can go there better. So that's another way. But the other things they could be doing, I mean, I'm sure quite a few of you watching this follow Handmuff just like I do. Does some really good videos, really interesting, really top bloke, and he does the Instagram thing a hell of a lot, where he's looking for intelligence. I mean, Instagram seems to be the criminal's best friend, doesn't it? It's almost like CNN for criminals. It's the criminal network. Go on there and broadcast to the world. I mean, nice on Instagram, you're really helping people by broadcasting that crap. Well, actually, you are. Yeah, I mean, if they're all in one place, it makes it easy to find them. So carry on. But he does a lot of looking on Instagram and tracking them down on there, just using his own skill set, which is pretty good. But obviously, the police must have got a lot better. They must have got specialist officers to do that sort of thing. And I just wonder, maybe they are, maybe they're not, I don't know. I just wonder if any of those are, you know, trawling through Instagram, trying to find evidence. I mean, these muggers are filming themselves. They're basically compiling their own evidence. They're filming themselves, committing the crimes. Look at me, aren't I cool, having it this bike? No, mate, you're a dick. And all the rest of it. And if the police was trawling Instagram, they could get evidence themselves. And they could basically go targeting the criminals as well. I mean, I know they've been accused of harassment in the past. Again, not long after I left the specials, the police sent a card out, a Christmas card, to all the known local criminals. Nice little Christmas card, and the message inside simply was, we're hoping you have a Merry Christmas, but if you decide to be naughty, don't forget, we know who you are, we know where you live, and we're watching. Nothing wrong with that. These are known criminals, you know. But again, the snowflakes, when they found out about this, they lambasted the police, basically saying that what you're doing is harassment. You're harassing these people. Well, yeah, perhaps they are, but those people harass lots of innocent people. You know, it's like, get your priorities straight. Are you? I mean, most of these snowflakes, I think, probably are criminals themselves, because all they seem to do is protect them. It's like, we don't want the criminals feeling threatened by the police. Oh, no, no, no. Who wants that, eh? I want that, to be quite frank. I want them to be terrified of the police. You know, if they were, then they wouldn't be doing the crimes in the first place. So, yeah, I just think snowflakes are idiots. They're on a different planet. They probably live in gated communities with no crime. And maybe we ought to lock the gates and leave them in there so the rest of us can get on with living our lives. But, yeah. So they got slated for sending out the little Christmas card, which really annoyed the hell out of me because it was quite effective. You know, it did make the criminals look over the shoulder. But they're not allowed to harass them, apparently. So, yeah, but I just wish the snowflakes would go away and let us get on with stopping the criminals and stopping the crimes happening in the first place. But they could go to Instagram. They've got GCHQ. They've got access to that. They could get them looking at Instagram and going through it. Yep, you watched it. And it was funny. Oh, the video I uploaded. Well, I'm glad you liked it, mate. I did try my best on that one. Unfortunately, a lot of the videos I downloaded were quite low quality. Couldn't find any better ones. Maybe next time. But that's my thoughts on it. I'm hoping, you know, a couple of people that are watching, I've got some views on what they think the police could be doing better or should be doing better. Whichever. Because obviously at some point, we won't be needed, or we won't be needed as much, because the motorcycle crime will drop massively. That's what's hoped anyway. They'll drop massively as the police sort of carrying on with their little mission and their attacks. I showed you the little O2 card earlier. Just someone give me a comment if I'd got this fitted, which I haven't yet. Would you have phoned in? Would you have been too embarrassed to go live and had a bit of a conversation with me? Again, I'd like to know, because if I do this again, then I might have the phone online ready to go. So yeah, just let me know on that. And Snowwolf, I don't think you've got a bike, have you? But I'd like to know what you think about the police tactics, whether you think that they're good, bad, or whether you're indifferent to them, whether you're not bothered either way. It'd be quite interesting. But anyway, that's my take on the police tactics. You know, I think it's wonderful. I think it should be spread nationwide. I think it's basically the Met at the minute, but I think it should go nationwide, and we should see more of it. But that's pretty much everything I'd got on here for tonight. Obviously, it's a bit quiet tonight, so yeah, that's most of what I wanted to say. And I think they should have started. Yeah, definitely, mate. They should, but that's partially down to internal politics. You know, you end up with the IPCC investigating officers who have done what they. I mean, every time an officer uses force, whether it be his truncheon, his hands, his parva spray, anything, he has to fill a use of force form in, and he has to justify it, and he has to ask himself if the average man in the street had seen what I was doing, would he have thought it was fair and reasonable? And that's the kind of thing he has to do. So yeah, and then obviously the IPC can decide to investigate him anyway if they think he's done something wrong. There was a famous one in Sheffield years ago, where an officer had been seen thumping this woman's leg, and it was in the papers, it was all over the news, and it was saying how wrong he was, it'd been an assault, but they'd cut the video. The news people were culpable there. They'd cut the video just to show the bit where he's thumping a leg. They didn't show the bit where she was punching him and scratching him in the face and spitting at him, and what he was trying to do is get the cuffs on, but she was non-compliant. So a hammer strike with the back of your hand as such was used against the leg, and the whole point of that is it's a distraction technique, It's the soft fleshy bit here, it's not the knuckles, soft fleshy bit, so it doesn't cause much damage, but it's sharp, it's a shock. So you momentarily freeze. You know, what the hell was that? And that gives them time to get the cuffs on. So what he did was a taught technique. And basically, he was investigated by the IPC, he was suspended from the police, he'd got neighbours calling him names. I think, if I remember correctly, he ended up... that's the only problem, yeah, with the mainstream media. Yeah, they like to show everyone in a bad way. They do that all the time. And I think that police officer, if I remember correctly, ended up killing himself. Hounded to death, effectively harassed, you know, as Snowflake would say, by the media. And that's sort of the problem with it. They've got to do everything completely and utterly above board, otherwise, you know, they get lambasted. But anyway, that was mainly my views on the police tactics for tonight, what I thought about them. And once you've reviewed the video later on, if you've got any other views, what you think, I'd like to see them, you know, in the comments later on. So thank you for joining me. It's a short one tonight, but it's, like I said, it's not very busy tonight. So yeah, thank you for joining me, and hopefully if I do another one, I'll let people know in plenty of time. So thank you very much. Northern out for now. See ya.